À-bas-le-ciel.
Or like I say though, but I think even if you had just looked at the threats of violence he made against me, your opinion would have changed. Like even if you everything else the same, if you just knew this guy threatened to have me stabbed, beaten up by him, would probably have changed your perspective. But look, sorry. So the sense I was in the middle of it was just saying, what you did in that video was you said, okay, if Durianrider's lying, and again, anyone wants to knows that he really is lying. If Durianrider's lying, then he has no credibility. He's a terrible person. And then you say, but my personal experience with him is positive. I think he's a funny guy. He's a nice guy. So, I'm still positive. But this is my point. I think the conclusion you have to make is, in life, going ahead, that's not really a solid basis for that kind of judgment. With anybody or with anything, you can't just say, well. And a lot of people are in this position with Donald Trump, right? Your current president of the United States. He's been in show business for so long. There are a lot of people who could say, oh well, he's a nice guy. I met him at a party. I shook his hand. That's not really what we're talking about. The question about whether or not, right? It's a great comparison. And I think face to face, probably Donald Trump is a nice guy to have a conversation with. He's funny. He's relaxed. He's been in television for a long time.
I make a lot of political videos. I'm a big progressive liberal guy. And you're right. That is a really great analogy. Just because someone is nice to you, even if they've done actions that you completely...
Or even your whole circle of friends. Donald Trump's hung out with, 6 other people who've hung out with Donald Trump, and they all say he's a great guy. But at the end of the day, the question is, can poor people get health care? Yes or no? You know what I mean? That's kind of the question.
Let me ask you a question. Why...
Sure.
What... Did you start criticizing, just questioning his lifestyle, and is that why he got so much hate to you? Why did he start attacking you?
Well, so I can tell you, the Crohn's disease thing was one turning point where I made videos pointing out that specific health claims he made were wrong, and a lot of people responded to that. So I know, his fans were asking about that, because that was something...
So this is a clear pattern of how narcissistic he is. Whenever someone just makes a video questioning something with what he says, and he's so passionate about whatever he says is right in his law, because he's the skinniest and leanest and most fit one, so he knows everything, you should listen to him. You question that, and then he comes out with these accusations. If we put it all together, that's just someone who's trying to beat down to a pulp anyone that argues with him. You put out a video maybe questioning my behavior, and now we're having a logical conversation. Now we're coming to a conclusion, and that's how good people react to things. I don't make defamatory and lying claims because I don't want to hurt anyone. I want the truth to be exposed. And it's pretty clear behavior of really debilitatingly narcissistic behavior on his part.
Well, I mean, look, anyone can be vegan. Not anyone can be a leader in the vegan movement. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm not going to take it away. Durianrider is a real vegan. I call some people fake vegans. I've had conflicts with other vegans where I said to them, honestly, I think Durianrider is a better person than you because I know at least he sincerely cares about X, Y, and Z. There are some people who I think are fake vegans and are absolutely terrible for the movement. However, someone like Durianrider can't be in a position of authority. He abuses that authority. He can't be in a position of leadership. And it's obvious that the little bit of fame and so on that he had, from my perspective, it's very clear he's done more harm than good. I'm not the only one. We won't go into the other cases. There are other individual people he's hurt. But again, sorry, the other thing, when you mentioned, you kind of asked in a vague way, why did they start hating me so intensely? The other thing was I did an interview with a former follower of theirs. Her name is Leah Pramstar. So that interview is still on my channel. I think it's over an hour-long discussion. But, she wasn't hating on Durianrider and Freely. But she gained a lot of body fat. She dropped out of school. She moved to Thailand. She changed her whole life because of their leadership. And, the conversation is hey, this is pretty weird, huh? But we're not, in that conversation, we're not slamming Durianrider and Freely. But, we're talking about life. And it's pretty weird, man. That's the truth about the more cult-like side of it. Drop out of high school.
I guess another topic I would make, and then I want to get back to just discussing everything that you said in the video. And I'm not pissed about the video you made. I understand the YouTube world. I respect people making commentary about things that they don't agree about me, and then we can talk about it face to face. I think that's beautiful. But I do want to talk about some of these. When you were questioning my logic of saying Izzy was never vegan, I'll justify that a little bit, or just give you my perspective on why I said that stuff. But do you think that Durianrider is, and again, this is all speculation because we don't know, but there's a difference between someone who's just like a malicious asshole who's trying to cause shit versus someone who actually has a mental disorder.
Right.
Like maybe double personality disorder. Like, and I don't know, and I have seen and interacted with Durianrider, and he seems like he does it. Like he seems pretty functional in society, but you know, maybe he has a mental disorder or something on the spectrum of some emotional disorder that gets him to be so angry and hurt, and maybe he creates this narrative that like he's just such a good guy, so if anyone criticizes him, it's just so unfair because he's been on YouTube first and he's helped more people. Like maybe he's created this narrative in his head combination with kind of a mental thing. But still, it does not.
Right, you're still responsible for your actions.
It does not accept, or sorry, I'm missing the word, but it doesn't approve of any of the clearly aggressive, violent, and uncalled for behavior by accusing multiple people. It's not just you.
I know.
I'm sure there's so many people.
I know.
Durianrider has planned.
I'm the one who stood up. That's why people remember me, is because I really stood up to it. But yeah, and a lot of people weren't in a position where they could. A lot of people are slunk into the shadows. But yeah, go on, yeah. So when I first talked to Vegan Gains, one of the questions I asked him was, because Vegan Gains, one of the things his channel does is really criticizes people about fake health information, like fake weight loss information, fake steroid information. And I said, why didn't you notice the red flag? That Durianrider claimed he could cure Crohn's disease. So Crohn's disease is a really serious, incurable disease. And Durianrider made these contradictory claims about Crohn's disease. And again, even if you don't have someone like me criticizing them, if you just watch what he's saying, it's obvious that he's lying from the inconsistencies in what he's saying, like the self-contradictory and things that scientifically don't make sense. It's like, for you, Vegan Gains, for Richard, it should be really obvious this dude is lying, you know, in a serious way. So there's some examples like that are completely dry, like they don't have anything to do with sex, but it's like this is a really serious red flag that this is someone who is lying and manipulating to people whose fame is based on something negative. And then on the other hand, again, this is the side I would have thought you'd know about. Like my interaction with Durianrider, so he didn't just accuse me of being a pedophile and a sexual predator. He said he was going to have a gang of people beat me up. He said he was going to have people stab me in Chiang Mai repeatedly. And I had to go back to Chiang Mai for the court case later. Now, already that makes one side of the conversation a little bit less credible than the other, because I haven't said anything like that, right? Like, who's telling the truth or who's lying here? Who's threatening to have someone beaten up or stabbed? But to
be fair, just to try to be fair, he was saying those claims in response to, hey, let's beat up this pedophile, right?
Right, that's the case he was making.
So in his mind, if you're saying it's completely a mind of lying, and again, if he was fabricating all of this, the whole thing is sketchy.
Right, Well, I'm just saying it's not credible. Yeah. It's not like you'd watch what he was saying. Yeah. But anyway, so when he demanded to see my criminal record, and I was just about to start a job in China. So I actually had my criminal record check with me. Like normally I wouldn't like just have, like here you go. But I did because I was starting a new job. And for that job, it was a job in a university as a teacher. You needed to have a criminal record check to do that kind of job in China. So I was like, oh, well, look, it's a funny coincidence. Yeah, here's my passport. Here's my criminal record check. I sent it to him. And he responds. And by the way, I was always willing to talk to him. I was willing to meet in person. I said, look, if you want to meet in a coffee shop, we can do that. And I said, if you actually want to kick my ass, we can meet at a boxing ring or something. Like, I don't care. But, like, if you want to talk, if you want to sell this, I'll meet with you. And I said, if you want to meet on a street corner, we can do that too. Like, I don't care. And he completely wimped out, by the way. He lost his support. See, this is the other thing. All the lies he was telling at the time. He also told all these lies about being a tough guy. That he'd been to prison, that he was such a tough guy. He used to really play that role, which, again, makes his side of the story less credible. And, like, for someone like you also, if you're just paying attention to this, it's like, there's a lot of things this dude is saying that don't add up.
Yeah, I think we don't need to even continue talking about that. It's very obvious that Durianrider,
okay. Sure. I'll just finish this. But the point was, so he demanded. It's totally unreasonable. Like if I said to you right now, show me your criminal record, like it's just unreasonable. But I actually did it. I was like, okay, here's my criminal record, here's my passport. And he immediately wrote back and made statements on the internet and in videos and on Tumblr saying that my passport was fake. And that my criminal record check was fake. So that's how he responds to this. Like, if you give him an inch, he just tries to raise the stakes of the conflict. That's how the conflict. And like, obviously, I could talk I could talk for an hour about all the other crazy shit he did. But so it's like, so I'm here being reasonable. Like, I'm actually willing to talk this through. And dude, so I just say, I gave you the example of my girlfriend's dad and her brothers. Like, this stuff impacted my life. It's impacted employers hiring me for jobs.
No, that is real, and that is wrong.
Right. So I'm just saying that's the game we play, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for telling me all that information. And, you know, it's tough because we are all, Maggie, my dog's obsessed with playing fetch, so she's
It's cool. It's a long time. It's a long time for you to ignore your dog. It's reasonable she'd want to.
No, I'm not.
It is.
I'm not ignoring it. We're playing fetch as well. But, you know, we are all, the world is not black and white. Durianrider loves animals. He wants to help animals. Durianrider loves to help people because I've seen him help people with which he claims about all the time. You know, those are positive qualities that no one could argue with. Those are positive qualities. And then he also has really, really negative qualities.
Yeah.
But clearly, the negative qualities that he's chosen to commit are unquestioned. Like, they're so far beyond the negative qualities that I would have as also just a unique person who's not perfect. To do something that's awesome, then when I'm undercarbed and get pissed, maybe I'll do something bad. Although I am a yogi and I'm very gentle and I'm a very chill guy.
Right.
I don't have any criminal record at all.
That's what you say. Go on,
and I'm not as polarizing and negative and inflammatory with my content as Durianrider has, but it's so easy for Durianrider to claim with the backlash, like, really, but I love animals and I love helping people, and that's what he will say because people are complicated. But even with the complications of the human being, a good person doesn't make defamatory comments accusing someone of a disgusting illegal activity just because the person's criticizing their nutritional ideology. Do I think that Durianrider has veganized a lot of people and that the animals are probably stoked about that? Yes. You know, we can't deny that, but to think that he has a big impact on the vegan world and community now is ridiculous.
Right. But at the height of his fame, before he broke up with Freely, before his channel tumbled, he said I was a pedophile. He said I was a sexual predator. And what you just said is that he's not very relevant outside of the vegan community. But that is my community. That's where I live and work. So he denounced me. He denounced me and he defamed me in a way that was very powerful and had very real impacts on my life. Inside veganism and outside veganism. When I first met my girlfriend, so she's on my channel a lot lately if people haven't seen. So I'm just saying it's not like a secret girlfriend. When I first met my girlfriend, her father and her two brothers Googled my name and found all these lies Durianrider had told about me. Another person who was just like a new fan of mine sent me email and then said, "Oh wow, I found all this dirt on you, these terrible things you're doing." And there's no basis to any of it. In terms of the stories he made up about me, it's not even a he said she said story, like where there's my version of events and there's the girl's version of events. There never was a girl. Julia Bohr, she said openly that she had never met me, which is true. We never met each other. And that I'd never sent her like a flirtatious email. Nothing like that ever happened between me and her. And the other women were imaginary. Like you said, I mean, this is the thing. You said you knew he lied and made things up. That's what drew attention to. In all your videos, you said that. Like even the more positive videos, you said you were like aware that Durianrider was crazy and made stuff up. It's like, well, he just made up that I had a sex scandal in Quebec where I was just sleeping with like so many vegan women and there was some... And it's like, dude, I haven't been to Quebec in years. Canada's a really big country from east to west. You know, it's like I'm on the west coast of Canada enrolled in university classes. Yeah. I haven't, like, this story, it's so obviously false in so many ways. And where are these girls who I allegedly slept with? Believe me, if I was getting laid with a bunch of vegans in Quebec, they'd be on my YouTube channel. Those girls would be, I'd be doing videos with them. I wouldn't be hiding it, you know?
I want to just clear up the Izzy thing because I don't want any... I guess I just want to hit any little criticism you might have had about me in that video, just so I can respond to it, so we can just talk.
Okay, but you know, I didn't think I was laying a really hard criticism at your door in that. I was just kind of questioning, you know, philosophically, what's the meaning of saying someone never was a vegan or something, you know?
Yeah. So the reason I mentioned that was, you know, I know Izzy better than most people because we dated for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I think that I said that I made that claim I'll be totally honest. One, because it's a good title for a YouTube video, and two, the sense of truth that I was trying to pull from it is that veganism, as you would probably agree, versus plant-based is an ethical ideology versus just a nutritional thing.
I agree.
So I wanted to bring up that maybe people who have lived a plant-based and vegan dietary lifestyle, but have truly in their heart done it mainly for the nutritional or weight loss reasons, maybe we'll call those people not vegan, even though they did live a vegan lifestyle and the animals don't give a shit because they're not being eaten. So that's, like, I always say that. I don't care if you're vegan or plant-based as long as you keep doing it, because the animals don't care as long as you're not eating them, contributing to their suffering. So I understand that it was kind of an inflammatory claim. Izzy definitely was vegan for however 2 or 3 years, however she was. But, you know, I dated her for a long time, and I'll say this is kind of exclusive information content here. I think I just got a bug bite on my cheek. Mosquitoes are getting
karma
gnarly as I move out. Mosquitoes are coming out. But, you know, when we moved to Berkeley, and again, this is no hate to Izzy, because Izzy's a passionate, smart woman, and she's going to do the things that she's interested in. She is interested in academics and many other things. I am really into animal rights and getting people to go ethically vegan. So when I was in Berkeley and doing tons of animal rights activism, Izzy came to 1 or 2 things, let's say in a given month, when I went to 10 or 15. She never was as into animal rights as I was. So in that video, I can make the claim that, you know, while she did make some animal rights content, her heart probably wasn't as into the animal rights thing as it is for me and many of my vegan friends. So maybe she was kind of really plant-based, and now as we see, she's eating all kinds of animal products. And if you're truly into animal rights, I know. Who knows, I'm going to be in 10 years, but I've been 6 years vegan now, and I cannot imagine ever eating an animal product consciously for the rest of my life. So that's why I made the claim. And it's a good fucking YouTube title. Like, can I just be honest? But
look, I totally sympathize with you. I think you just didn't. I think you didn't. I think you didn't flesh it out in that video as you did here. Right. I think, but I mean, look, you could make a separate video talking about it, because a lot of us have been through that. My ex-wife, I was married for 6 years, and this is another reason why the Durianrider thing had such an impact. I have a 5-year-old daughter. At that time, she was 3 years old, and I'm in a divorce and custody battle. And it's like, I've got people on the internet saying I'm a pedophile and a sexual predator. It doesn't just impact my employment, impacts my divorce and custody situation. So it's really pretty scary. That's one of the reasons why, you know, it impacted my life. But my ex-wife, after I split up with her, she went back to a non-vegan diet. So, you know, I know what it's like. And my current girlfriend, her ex-boyfriend, like, you know, he became vegan because of her. And then 5 minutes after they split up, he went back to a non-vegan diet. So I think, a lot of people can relate to it.
Vegan for me though.
I know.
Izzy went vegan like a year before I ever met her. So she didn't go vegan for me and then started eating animal products when we broke up. That wasn't the narrative. But but yeah, she was never. I'm totally fine saying she was never as passionate about doing animal rights activism as us. Do you still think I'm a coward?
No, but I think there is.
I just wanted to make sure.
I think there is an important lesson for you to take from it, because in that case, you know, in case of the Durianrider thing, all the cards were on the table. And like I say, even people who really knew him personally, even people who support him, like the guy from the Glucose Network, Abdullah Zainab, or Vegan Ava, or Foot Soldier, even Vegan Gains. Vegan Gains was friends with Durianrider and a supporter of Human Freely. All these people, even the people who had the most to lose by opposing Durianrider, and who really had the most to gain by continuing to be his friend or supporter, all of those people, the information was there on the table to figure out, wow, Harley's done something really immoral here. So I just say, I think the lesson for you to learn is you've got to do that little bit of research, you know, and in this case, it would have just been a little bit of Google, whether you reached out to me or saw what was already out there on the net, because all that stuff was there to put the pieces together, you know.
Okay. I think it's a very clear case of bullying and peer pressure. I don't blame anyone who doesn't go out and make anti-Durianrider videos, because look, if someone's trying to start a YouTube channel and thinking about themselves in this situation, sometimes, you know, Durianrider has bullied certain people. It's scary to come out and be against someone who's kind of the king and the original king in this movement. And of course, you could say it is cowardly if someone's not going to come out and look at all the facts and then talk about it. But I'm also going to be sympathetic to people who just don't want to cause that drama and attention to their lives, even though it's obviously so important to you because you've unfortunately had to bear a really brutal brunt of that. And I'm happy that I can now come out and reinforce my beliefs on this to hopefully try to lessen that that beating and discomfort and just shittiness that's happened to your life. But I'm also sympathetic to people that are scared to make videos about it because they feel like if I go against this bully's going to go and beat the shit out of me online. And that's also, Durianrider should think, is that really the reputation that he wants to have of silencing people of how they think in fear that he's going to bully them? Again, that's not a person that you want to look up to. You want to look up to people like this who you can just have open, logical, reasonable conversations with. You know, bully mentality is not a nice thing, and I can say that I felt that form of bullying. I didn't want to make a video against the crazy dude because I didn't want to feel the brunt of it. But again, I was younger at that time.
I understand. I just say I think the lesson for you to take from it is what you actually said in your second video that has my name in it, where you talk about the situation. You kind of say all these bad things about Durianrider, that you know he's a liar. You say he's totally discredited himself. You said if this is untrue, and you know it's untrue. If this is untrue, Durianrider's totally discredited himself. Right. Sorry. Just let me finish the sentence.
I don't know anything.
But you could have known. No, but really it was knowable. Really, everyone figured it out except you. Yeah. Really, you were one of the last people to figure it out because there were so many obvious signs this was false. But you know, say, well, if you
put the pieces together, it is very clear who is the liar and who is.
But again, even if you just examine his statements, the lies are quite obvious from one side only. And you could have reached out to me or whatever. You know, and all the lies he told about the court case, one lie led to another with this guy, and it was all equally false. But, you know, you said, well... So
I never thought about reaching out to you because, again, I just didn't want to attract that kind of stuff. To be completely honest, I never went to bed at night thinking, like,
I know, but you did... I know, but you did... You did make... I know, but you did make two videos, you know, taking a stand on this. You did. Just saying. So it's not like you chose not to talk on it. You did. And one of them's a long video, and one of them's a short. But I'm just saying, you did take a stand on this, and you were wrong. You took the wrong stand. But look, just sorry to finish my sentence.
I'll be 100% honest. I made so many videos, I don't even exactly remember, but I completely am trusting 100% of what you're saying.
Anyway, I've got the
I probably made a stance on it, and I was like, I just won't talk to this guy. I'll just I think. And of course, if you want to be as logical and scientific about it, if you make a stance of something, you should probably talk to both sides, and that is totally real. I never did reach out to you.
Or like I say though, but I think even if you had just looked at the threats of violence he made against me, your opinion would have changed. Like even if everything else the same, if you just knew this guy threatened to have me stabbed, beaten up by him, would probably have changed your perspective. But look, sorry. So the sentence I was in the middle of it was just saying. What you did in that video was you said, okay, if Durianrider's lying, and again, anyone wants to knows that he really is lying. If Durianrider's lying, then he has no credibility. He's a terrible person. And then you say, but my personal experience with him is positive. I think he's a funny guy. He's a nice guy. So, you know, I'm still positive. But this is my point. I think the conclusion you have to make is, in life, going ahead, that's not really a solid basis for that kind of judgment. You know, with anybody or with anything, you can't just say, well, and a lot of people are in this position with Donald Trump, right? Your current president of the United States. He's been in show business for so long. There are a lot of people who could say, oh, well, you know, he's a nice guy. I met him at a party. I shook his hand. That's not really what we're talking about. You know, the question about whether or not, it's a great comparison. And I think face to face, probably Donald Trump is a nice guy to have a conversation with. He's funny. He's relaxed. He's been in television for a long time.
I make a lot of political videos. I'm a big progressive liberal guy. And you're right. That is a really great analogy. Just because someone is nice to you, even if they've done actions that you completely
even your whole circle of friends. Donald Trump's hung out with, 6 other people who've hung out with Donald Trump, and they all say he's a great guy. But at the end of the day, the question is, can poor people get health care? Yes or no? You know what I mean? That's kind of the question.
À-bas-le-ciel.